This is the IQOO Z6 Pro disassembly. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and follow me on Twitter so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. And if you need any tools, there are links in the description. First, the SIM tray needs to be removed. Here's a better look at the SIM tray. Next, we need to use a hairdryer or a heat gun to apply heat to the back plate to loosen up the adhesive underneath, and then we're going to use a plastic pry tool to pry the back plate off. Here's a better look at the plastic back plate. The camera lens covers can be replaced by applying heat and gently prying them off. There are 18 Phillips screws which need to be removed. Next, we need to place a plastic pry tool in between the back housing and the frame of the screen, and then we need to run it along the edges to pop off the catches. The back housing is also made of plastic. There's an antenna flex cable on the left and right side of the top portion of the back housing, as well as more antenna flex cables around the borders of the other side. The top cover can be lifted up and removed. The LED flash is located in the center, and there's graphite film to help transfer heat. On the other side, there's some more graphite film on the metal portion of the cover. There are two battery cables which need to be disconnected. Once the battery cables are disconnected, we can proceed to disconnect the rest of the cables. There's a white coaxial cable on the right side of the board that needs to be disconnected by popping it off. There's some graphite film covering the connector for the front-facing camera that needs to be removed, so we can disconnect and remove that. Here's a better look at the 16 megapixel front-facing camera. There are two standoff screws which are holding on the main board that need to be removed. Now we can lift up and remove the main board. On the main board, there's a 64 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel wide, and a 2 megapixel macro lens. None of the cameras have OIS or optical image stabilization. The camera connectors can be disconnected by just popping them off. There's a secondary microphone on the top corner underneath the shield, copper tape covering the shields on this side, and rubber gaskets around the connectors. The proximity sensor is located on the other side, and there's copper tape and thermal paste on the back shields. Once this removable shield is removed and the copper tape is peeled back, we can see thermal paste on this chip, the processor, and a thermal pad on this chip over here. Here's a better look with the thermal paste removed. Now the bottom speaker assembly can be lifted up and removed. There's some more graphite film on the speaker assembly to help transfer heat, and some more on the bottom. To remove the battery, there's a pull tab provided to help us pry the battery off. Here's a better look at the 4700 mAh battery. Once the battery is removed and the battery adhesive pouch is peeled back, we can see there's two flex cables which connect the main board to the subboard. Once those flex cables and the green protective tape is peeled back, we can see the copper vapor chamber which sits underneath the battery and runs along underneath the motherboard. Next, we need to disconnect these flex cables, as well as the fingerprint sensor flex cable and the other end of the coaxial cable from the subboard. If you need to replace your screen, you would have to remove the back plate. You would then have to remove the screws in the back housing, and then you'd remove the speaker assembly, disconnect all the flex cables and remove the subboard, and then you would heat up the front of the phone where the screen is to loosen up the adhesive underneath. You pry your old screen off, apply new adhesive, and reapply your new screen, making sure you run the flex cable back through the opening in the mid-frame, and then you'd reassemble your phone. Now we can lift up and remove the subboard. There's a liquid damage indicator sticker, which is the white sticker over here, and there are rubber gaskets around all the connectors as well as the charger port. The primary microphone is located underneath this shield. The SIM reader is located on the back. The fingerprint sensor is held down with some adhesive, and there are rubber gaskets with mesh filters over the microphone openings, as well as a speaker opening on the bottom. There's also a rubber gasket over here for the opening of the screen cable. The flex cable with the volume keys and power button is on this side. The earpiece speaker is located on top, and that's held down with some adhesive, and the same goes for the vibrator motor, which is located here. For the repairability score, I give this phone a 4.5 out of 10. Now it's time to put the phone back together. Once all the screws are back in place, apply new adhesive and reapply the back plate. Flip over the phone, power it on, and you're done. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.